Okay, you may inquire.
All right. Can you please introduce yourself to the court?
Yes, my name is Ollie Rodriguez.
And are you currently employed, Ms. Rodriguez?
Yes, I'm a detective at the Swatchford Police Department.
How did you become a detective?
So I graduated from Florida Detective School in 2020 with 100 hours of training in the investigation of violent crime.
I want to talk to you about why you're here today. How were you first contacted about today's case?
I first responded to a dispatch call reporting a robbery at the Amsterdam Museum of Fine Art, and then I went to the museum and I spoke with the museum's curator, Lee Rose.
Can you describe the scene when you first arrived?
Yeah, so I saw a painting up on the walls called The Steps of the Chapel of Rome, which I was informed was lent to the defendant from April 26, 2026.
To your knowledge, why was that painting on display?
Well, the painting is on display because, that's a weird question.
And what did Lee Rose do after getting this suspected painting back?
So after getting the painting back, she thought it looked weird, so she took it to a forgery expert analyzer, and it was reported as likely a forgery.
And I want to talk more about your investigative work in this case. What was your first step?
My first step was to interview with the defendant at his downtown loft.
And what date was this?
This was on June 5th.
What did you learn from this interview?
I just learned that while the defendant had the painting, it was stored at the Artisan Plaza.
Did you interview anyone else in this case?
Yes, I interviewed with London Del Mar, the Artisan Plaza venue owner.
Why did you interview Ms. Del Mar?
I just wanted to interview with the person who owned the venue where the Chapel Rome was stored.
What did you conduct in this interview?
The first thing I did was go to the back room, which is exactly where the painting was stored.
What did you find in the back room?
I found 2 dehumidifiers, an AC unit, 2 empty easels with a chair in between them, and paint swatches on the ground below, which I collected as evidence.
After searching the back room, what did you do?
After that, I asked London Del Mar a few questions.
What did you learn from Ms. Del Mar?
Well, I just learned that Cohen Gray had been trying to host an art event.
Response?
Your Honor, this is going to the rule of completeness. She's not testifying for the fact of the matter, but rather laying a foundation.
The rule of completeness, where is that? In the rules of evidence.
It's somewhere.
Just give me the rule number.
I don't have the rule number.
Is there such a thing as rule of completeness?
Mr. Riley told me
Yeah,
to
it
say
was
that.
Mr. Riley that told us to say that. If they bring up any other hearsay type stuff, you're allowed to finish it.
Oh, I think that means that if they allow her to testify that she did talk to Del Mar, she's allowed to say what she said.
Or I think he said if opposing counsel at any point in time brings up that conversation, like in any way, then since they're allowed to do it, you're allowed to.
Opposing counsel hasn't. On cross would be different if they brought up that comment. If somebody's crossing her, then it would be, I think that's where that rule of completeness would come in, because they brought up the conversation in direct. So I understand that's probably a good thing to have in your pocket for cross. But for direct,
Am I allowed to go, like, she's a detective and she's just testifying to what her investigation led her to believe? Or, like, no, is that what's expected?
well, what you might say is, we're not offering for the proof of the truthfulness of the statement, but rather the steps of her investigation.
Okay.
Oh, and then you can ask her to proffer the testimony and the judge can rule with that. So like
You understand what that means?
you can say okay, I can proffer the testimony. If they say yes, then you say what she's going to say, and then they will decide whether or not it's hearsay.
You understand what
Yes,
that
makes
means?
sense.
So the judge, before he decides whether it's hearsay or not, he will ask you, well, what's she going to say? Proffer, or you could volunteer. I'll proffer the testimony she's going to say, and she's going to say A, B, and C.
Okay.
And now, what were you going to say? Because we're completely off that.
I was going to say that Cohen Gray was trying to host an art event that never happened.
Okay. So you're not offering it to prove whether it happened or not. You're offering it to show my steps of investigation.
All right. That makes sense.
Okay? All right, I'm going to overrule the objection. Well, go back to that question again.
Okay. And what did you learn from Ms. Rose, or Mr. Rose?
So I learned that the defendant had been trying to host an art event, but it fell through.
I'm going to keep going, or do you want me
Going.
Okay. And when the Chapel Rome was stored at her venue, who had access to it?
Well, Cohen Gray did, of course, but so did Vladimir Mikhailov, Cohen Gray's business partner and roommates, and then Lena Del Mar was not allowed access.
after searching the venue, what was your next step?
My next step was to investigate the defendant's home.
When did you do this?
I did this on July 5th.
And who had access to his apartment?
Both the defendant did and Vladimir Mikhailov.
What did you find in this loft?
I found lots of evidence. I found recreations of famous paintings along the walls. I found a receipt in their trash can. I found paint tubes on the grounds, an easel, and even a sketch of the chapel room.
Your Honor, permission to approach the witness.
You may.
Let the record reflect, or if I showed you these photos you took, would you recognize them?
Yes, I would.
Let the record reflect, I'm showing opposing counsel what has been previously marked as Exhibit 12 and 10. Do you recognize these, Detective Rodriguez?
Yes, I do.
What are they?
These are pictures that I took during my search of the defendant's home.
What date did you take these pictures?
This was on July 5th.
Is this a true and accurate copy of those photos?
Yes.
Your Honor, prosecution moves to enter what has been previously marked as Exhibit 10 and 12 into evidence as prosecution's Exhibit 10 and 12.
Any objection?
I object to hearsay on Exhibit 12.
Is that the receipt?
Yes, Your Honor.
What's your response to that?
Your Honor, this is an exception to hearsay as it is a business record.
Your Honor, if I may, there's no one here to properly authenticate this business record.
What's your response to that? What sort of business is this?
It's a shop, so it's a regular.
A shop?
Yes.
What kind of a shop?
Art shop.
Okay. And what kind of a record is this from the art shop?
It's the record kept in a regularly conducted activity of business, and whether or not for profit.
And is that exception to hearsay?
Yes, Your Honor.
Which particular exception?
Under Rule 803-6, Part B.
Do you have anybody here from the shop to authenticate this?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, I'm going to sustain the objection as to Exhibit 12 and overrule it as to the other exhibit.
Wait, I feel like we should go at the angle of like not that it's a business record, but can we do like I found this in my investigation of like the person who did purchase?
I'm trying to think like,
Yeah, because I think you're better, rather than a business record, this is the actual document, your actual evidence she found.
Okay.
It's the evidence.
This is just something, this
So
is
it's-
exactly what I found.
well,
So it's
okay,
not-
would it, okay, hear me out, this might be stupid. Would it low-key be easier to call her an expert in, no? Because then
No.
she could use hearsay to come to conclusions.
But she can use hearsay for her conclusions of her investigation. Don't call her an expert,
Okay.
okay? But she is, an investigating officer always has to use hearsay, what people told them
Yeah.
in their investigation.
So,
So,
is that what that's?
remember, we're not doing the whole, under Rule 702,
Yeah.
you're not doing the whole, Your Honor, I moved into this bottle as an expert.
Yeah.
Just treat her as an investigating officer and say, Your Honor, she can use hearsay in the course of her investigation to come to her conclusions.
Are they
Is
not
that
gonna
a
ask
rule?
for a
Because she
specific
has
rule
to.
for that,
Yeah.
or-
Well, I feel like, but it says that's common sense, like she has to be able to use hearsay because obviously she wasn't there
Well,
for.
because like with the rule completeness thing that she said earlier, and then you said, well, do you have a rule for that?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well-
no, but I know it. So what do you do if the judge asks for that and then you say, no, I don't have a rule, and you're gonna go, okay, same.
Because they did that against me when we did the virtual scrimmage, and I was like, okay, about like the repeat rose statements.
Okay, but under Rule, I would say under Rule 702.
Well, that's just for experts.
I know.
And
I would just say
doesn't
that.
it only apply to the experts because they
If
are
they're
stipulated to
scientific,
be?
technical, or specialized knowledge,
Well,
she
the
has
experts are
specialized knowledge.
stipulated to be experts. You could proffer anyone as an expert.
I thought it said that they're experts, it's just not in a specific field.
No, that was last year.
Oh.
That's not stipulation this year. So we could technically be like, hey, she's an expert in investigating.
Well, just to say, she has specialized knowledge in
Oh,
investigation.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, but do you understand that?
Yeah, so if I was objected to, I'd be like, Your Honor, she has specialized knowledge in what she's.
Under Rule 702, she can rely on hearsay because she has specialized knowledge as an investigating officer.
Okay.
I just gotta feel confident you know that, so while you're saying that.
I got it.
And I know, I just gotta feel confident, okay?
I don't trust me.
Because I don't wanna see in the middle of a trial that come up and you're not.
I memorized the other one.
Okay?
Remember
You're-
when you tested me, you doubted me, but I recognized that one.
I'm still testing everyone. Oh. I mean, I'm still wanting to, you know, it's all a test of you guys, so I wanna make sure you know what you're doing. Okay, so I'm gonna, so let's go back to, I'm gonna allow the picture. What is your response to the picture of the receipt?
Your Honor, this is the evidence she found in this case, and under Rule 702A, she's allowed to use hearsay as she has specialized knowledge to come to her conclusion in this case.
All right, I'm gonna allow it. We'll see.
Permission to publish?
Yes.
Detective Rodriguez, can you please pick up Exhibit 10?
Yes.
And what is this of?
So this is the easel I was talking about. You can see the paint tubes under there, and then on the canvas you can see a clear sketch of the steps of the chapel room.
Can you please pick up Exhibit 12?
Yes.
And describe to the jury what it is.
Yes, so this is a receipt for oil paint. It actually matches the paint tubes in Exhibit 10. There are 6 paint tubes on here.
Why was this receipt significant?
When we looked into the card information, it was actually the defendant who purchased these paints.
Thank you, Detective Rodriguez. After searching the defendant's loft, what was your next step?
My next step was to interview the defendant again on August 8th.
What did you learn in this interview?
I learned that Mikhailov had left the country in May of that year and gone to Russia.
Based on this interview, what were you able to receive?
I was able to receive the financial records of both the defendant and Mikhailov.
If I showed you these financial records, would you recognize them?
Yes, I would.
Your Honor, permission first to witness.
Okay.
The record reflects I'm showing opposing counsel what is previously marked as Exhibit 15A and 15B. Do you recognize these, Detective?
Yes, I did.
And what are they?
These are bank records and a custodial document that I got during my investigation.
What is the name of the custodian?
The custodian's name of Blue Church.
And what date is on the wire transfer?
This was on the 1st of August, 2023.
Is this a true and accurate copy of those financial records you gained?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, prosecution moves to enter what has been previously marked as Exhibits 15A and 15B into evidence as prosecution's Exhibit 15A and 15B.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay, now, let's say there's an objection
Hearsay?
as here, that she is not the one to authenticate it, okay? What exhibit is that?
15A and B.
15A and B. So I'm looking at the stipulations, does it say anything about 15A and B?
No, they have a signed declaration of the custodial document.
So, did you get this signed declaration? Did you receive this declaration from the holder of the records?
Yes.
Okay.
That's a question I should ask.
Yeah, and is that part of this exhibit?
Yes.
Try that. Now, I'm just telling you, it's still, they may not let it in. So you're prepared to go forward, okay, without the actual bank record, but her investigation showed that there was a fraud. Now, look at me. Where did that money come from?
This came from one
From when, and where is his account?
in the Cayman Islands.
And where did it go to?
And went to Cohen Gray.
And where is that account? In Swatford,
Yes, it's all.
at this bank.
Yes.
So you understand, the money, the $480,000 came from an account in the Cayman Islands, which makes it sound,
Where is that? Is that like,
well, just out in the yeah, it's down in the
Always,
Caribbean.
and like whenever you watch a movie and there's like money transfer things, I feel like it's always the Cayman Islands.
Yeah,
It makes sense
because
as
they
a
have different banking records, or banking requirements there. And so, that's why people hide money in the Cayman Islands, because they have different banking regulations. That makes it sound suspicious.
yeah.
Okay, but what I'm saying is, I still see people don't understand this whole transfer. It came from a bank, Vladimir Mikhailov's, not Cohen Gray's bank. Vladimir Mikhailov's Cayman Island account to Cohen. Where's your account? Where you got
It's
this
in the United
$480,000?
States. I know for a fact it is in the
Where-
United States.
Huh?
It is in the United States.
I know. I'm trying to ask you.
So it's probably in America,
Where?
like Florida.
Yeah. You could just say Swatchford, Florida. What's the name of your bank?
Didn't say.
It does.
It does say, yeah.
probably the peninsula.
That's your
Yes,
bank.
Peninsula Co-Bank.
So what I'm saying is, these are common knowledge that I would know, but we're not knowing these things. These are just little things that you have to know. This money came into your bank at Peninsula, what's it called?
Peninsula Co-Bank.
Exactly.
Peninsula Co.
Or, I don't know what co means, could be company or whatever.
Probably Co.
But it's your bank in Swatchford where the money came to,
Yay.
from the Cayman Islands. And that came from his account,
From Vlad.
Vladimir's.
Vladimir.
Okay,
Money.
just these are little things that we're not getting. Okay, okay, is our time ready? Okay, continue.
Detective Rodriguez, who's the sender on that account?
The sender is Vladimir Mikhailov.
Who's the receiver?
The receiver is Cohen Gray, the defendant,
And where was Vladimir Mikhailov when he sent that money?
in the Cayman Islands.
No. He's not in the Cayman Islands, he's in Russia. But the money came from his account in the Cayman Islands. He wasn't in the Cayman Islands. He just
Yeah.
gets on the internet or whatever and has that money transferred from his Cayman Island account to this account at Peninsula Account.
Do they know that he's not in the Cayman Islands? Or
What?
Do they know that he's not in the Cayman Islands?
Well, she can't
I
say.
can't say either.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just saying, just in case they do ask you, because technically you couldn't say, oh, he wasn't actually in the Cayman Islands, he was
Well,
in
you
Russia.
know, you don't say he's in the Cayman Islands. My point is, it came from his account located in the Cayman Islands. He could have been in Italy, okay? We don't know where he was. But that's the point. But I'm just saying, these little things, are for the scoring judges, it's not if you do it right, it's when you do it wrong that they notice. If you do it right, it just all makes sense.
Right.
But if you do it wrong, then it sticks in their head. That doesn't make sense. Okay? So, all right, continue.
How much is this wire transfer for?
$480,000.
Why was this amount significant?
Well, it was significant because Cohen Gray's business partner, roommate, who had fled to Russia, sent her almost $500,000 right before Cohen Gray also tried to go to Russia.
How did you know Gray was going to Russia?
Well, I also found flight tickets purchased by the defendant on August 8th, right after my interrogation, to Russia. A
Was
one-way
this-
flight ticket.
And what did you do? What did you do next?
Well, I immediately rushed to the airport to arrest Gray.
Can you describe the process of arresting Gray?
Yeah, so I put him in cuffs, and then I searched his luggage.
What did you find in his luggage?
I found his cell phone, which I searched for texts between him and Mikhailov.
If I showed you these texts, would you recognize them?
Yes.
Your Honor, permission to approach the witness.
Okay?
Let the record reflect, I'm showing opposing counsel what had been previously marked as exhibits 4A through J. Do you recognize these, Detective Rodriguez?
Yes, I do.
How do you recognize them?
These are text messages that I found on Cohen Gray's phone.
Is this a true and accurate copy of those messages?
Yes.
And who are the messages between?
Cohen Gray and Vladimir Mikhailov.
When did you gain these messages?
I gained these messages on August 10th after I arrested Gray.
Your Honor, prosecution moves to enter what has been previously marked as exhibits 4A through J into evidence as prosecution's exhibits 4A through J.
Any objections?
Oh, I would object to hearsay.
In what way?
Because these are texts between Cohen Gray and Vladimir Mikhailov, both of which this witness cannot testify to.
Was not Cohen Gray the defendant?
Yes, but it is also Vladimir
So
Mikhailov.
would it be hearsay as to Cohen Gray?
It would be hearsay as to Vlad.
Okay. What's your response as to the text from Vlad?
Your Honor, both parties have previously stipulated that under stipulation 13 that Vladimir Mikhailov is a declarant unavailable. He's unable to be located at this point and therefore subpoenaed for trial. And it also falls under Rule 804, Section B, Part 3. It's a statement against interest.
Okay, so therefore, it
Therefore.
falls under that. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's not available,
Mhm.
and it's a declarant, it's a statement against his interest.
Right, okay.
Okay, so we can't call him, and it's not like it's two different things. Those go together,
Okay.
okay?
With the past.
So he's not available to testify. And you can even look at opposing counsel and say opposing counsel's already stipulated. Do you understand what I'm saying?
That's cool, yeah.
Okay, under stipulation 13, that he's not available to be here, and this is a statement against his interest, which would be admissible under it 803 subsection B3?
804 subsection.
Or 804.
I have a question though, would the statement against interest really apply to every single one of his texts? Because some of his texts are just like not really statements against interest. Yeah, you don't hear. That's not really a statement against interest. I mean, there's some stuff that definitely is, but would
Well,
you
I
be able
think
to argue
you're-
that like we're okay with, you know, 5
The
or
flow,
4A
the
or
flow of
whatever?
the text though show that there was, what are you trying to, that there was a conspiracy between the parties. And I think that's what you need to get, matter of fact, those words would be great if you say, the text, the premises of the text and the flow of the text clearly show there was a conspiracy
That's
between the
what
parties.
happens.
And that's a statement against both their interests, but, you know, the other defendant's not here to testify, he's unavailable. I think that, because if you throw that word conspiracy in there, I think that's gonna also help explain to the jury what you're doing.
So when I get objected to, do I throw it in, or I'm gonna ask her why are these texts significant? Is she allowed to say that?
Well, I think, but she's not testifying to it yet.
But
If they don't let,
Am I allowed to say the word conspiracy?
you can, but they may never, if you don't handle the objection right, they're never gonna, she's never gonna get to say anything.
Right, but let's say
So
I.
that's where you, so I think you say it.
Okay.
Okay, as co-counsel, Your Honor, co-counsel already has agreed under stipulation 13 that Vladimir Mikhailov is not here to testify. And under 803 or 804,
804.
what is it, 804?
804B3.
Okay, this is statements against the interest of Vladimir Mikhailov because it goes to our theory of conspiracy,
Okay.
okay, between the two. It clearly shows that there's a conspiracy between them.
Got it.
So in the situation that they object to hearsay, and then she doesn't even have to go through the rule and say that whole thing,
And she needs to
then
say,
is she allowed to say?
that's where I concluded there was a conspiracy between them. If they don't object to it, that's
We
when
just
you
both
get.
say it?
Huh?
We just both say it?
Together?
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm saying, if you're responding to the objection, you can say it. If you're testifying, you say, this is where I came to the conclusion there was a conspiracy between them.
Yes, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Zoe, does that make sense? Because you're looking like you're confused there.
What? No.
She just looks like
I'm thinking about how I can't really sleep.
So he's just pondering life. It's okay.
Throw something at him, please, just something.
It's definitely not
Oh, he's got it.
So
He's got it.
Ah, he won't cut you.
I've been awake, I've just been like,
Continue. Okay, so, where are we at?
We're on just said,
Text.
overruled.
Okay, so I'm gonna allow the text message. Continue, timekeeper.
Detective Rodriguez, can you please read the text on 4H?
Yes, so the defendant says, good news and bad news. Vladimir says, lay it on me. Defendant says, good news, we're in. Vladimir sends money emojis. Defendant says, bad news, Rose can only give us the painting a month before. And Vladimir says, what? How in the world is that enough time? Call me now.
Detective Rodriguez, what was your reaction to these texts?
Well, first of all, I was confused as to why the defendant and the club would have needed the painting for over a month for just a one-night only event.
Can you read the text on 4I?
Yes, so the defendant says, the venue just fell through, we're screwed, no one is gonna believe us now.
Detective Rodriguez, why were these texts important in your investigation?
Well, again, I was confused as to why they would be so screwed over just an art event falling through. And this all just led me to believe that there was definitely a conspiracy going on between Vladimir Mikhailov and Cohen Gray.
Based on these texts, when did they figure out the venue fell through?
On May 18th, 2023.
And when was Rose returned the painting?
May 26th, 2023, which is over a week after they found out the venue fell through.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Okay. Detective Rodriguez, let me ask you a couple questions. Pull up that text again. So you based your charge of conspiracy on these two sets of texts, one on April 21st and one on May 18th. Is that what you're telling the jury?
Well, I did not base my entire charges
I thought
on
you
just
just
these
said, I'm
texts.
talking about the conspiracy charge. Did you not just testify, that's when you made the conclusion there was a conspiracy?
Well, I'm testifying that that really just sealed the deal for conspiracy. There was definitely other evidence for conspiracy.
And you said that it was the text that said, bad news, Rose can only give us the painting a month before.
Yes.
And the reaction to that was, what? How in the world is that enough time?
Yes.
Now, that could mean a lot of different things, it could.
No, No, not really.
Enough
based on-
time to prepare for the event.
And it could mean that.
Okay, so you're right, it could mean that. Enough time to get the place set up and find out the perfect
Objection
spot for.
speculation.
Of course, that's what she did. That's my point, she's speculating, aren't you?
Well, really, then why would they need the painting just to get people to start to do it? That doesn't really make sense.
No, but they've got to find the perfect location at the venue for the painting, right?
I mean, I guess if they already know. that
Okay,
it looks
and
like-
then you said this, the text on the 18th, where they said the venue just, who said the venue just fell through?
That was the defendant.
The defendant, and then said, we're screwed, no one is gonna believe us now, you there?
Yes.
That was just one set of text by her,
Yes.
correct? And that could mean all kinds of things, couldn't it?
No.
Oh, it could? Could it mean like, oh, we're not gonna have a museum now, we're screwed? It could mean that, couldn't
It
it?
can mean that, but the use of no one is gonna believe us now. which is-
Exactly, no one's gonna believe that we're authentic museum creators or curators because we don't have the venue, everything fell through, right?
It could mean that.
Thank
but-
you. Okay,